What if the most powerful collagen for your skin doesn't come in a shiny tub or tiny scoop, but sits quietly in the meat counter, overlooked and cheap? If you want firmer-looking skin, more resilient joints, and a cooking trick that actually tastes good, you don't need to buy every new powder that lands on Instagram. You need 3 whole foods that deliver collagen, gelatin, and the cofactors that help your body use them. Real ingredients you can cook at home and fold into everyday meals. I'm going to show you exactly which 3 foods I reach for, why they often beat powdered collagen, where to find them without breaking the bank, and how to prepare them so they're safe, delicious, and ready to boost your cooking. I'll walk you through step-by-step methods: pressure cooker, slow simmer, and stovetop, plus sensory checks, so you'll know when you've done it right. These aren't culinary curiosities, they're practical ancestral approaches that make the best use of connective tissue the way cooks have for centuries. First up, beef tendon. This isn't muscle meat. Tendon is pure connective tissue, dense, rubbery, and packed with type 1 collagen. When you extract it properly, it yields firm gelatin and a concentrated silky broth rich in glycine, proline, and glucosamine, the building blocks and supporting molecules that contribute to skin structure and joint comfort. It's not magic, it's chemistry and care. Sourcing tendon is simple. Ask your butcher for beef tendon from the shank, or ask at Asian markets. Many sell cleaned, portioned tendon, either fresh or frozen. It's usually inexpensive compared with steaks, and even cheaper than many powders per serving if you extract and store wisely. Look for pale, opaque strips of tissue attached to bone or sold in pieces. Frozen tendon is fine and often easier to find. Cleaning and preparing tendon starts with a rinse. Place pieces in a colander under cold running water, rubbing gently to remove any loose debris. Then blanch. Put them in a pot of cold water, bring to the boil, and let it bubble for 10 to 15 minutes. You'll see a grey scum and impurities rise. This is normal. Drain and discard that water. This step removes blood and surface impurities that can make the broth cloudy or give it an off taste. After blanching, choose your cooking method: instant pot, pressure cooker. Return the clean tendon to the pot, cover with fresh water by at least an inch, add a thumb of ginger or a halved onion for flavor if you like, and pressure cook on high for about 90 minutes. Natural release is best if you have time. It helps the tendons relax and become tender. Slow cooker. Place tendon and fresh water in the slow cooker and set on low for 8 to 10 hours. Stovetop simmer. Put tendon in a heavy pot, cover with water, bring to a gentle simmer, and cook 4 to 6 hours until the tissue is tender enough to pierce with a fork. Food safety note: maintain a simmer rather than a rolling boil once you've started the long cook. Keep the temperature steady and skim periodically, especially during the first hour, to remove foam. If your broth seems greasy after cooling, refrigerate until a fat cap forms and lift it off. This makes the gelatin clearer and the flavor cleaner. When the tendon is done, test it by chilling a small amount of the cooking liquid in the refrigerator for a few hours. If it sets into a firm, slightly wobbly jelly, you've extracted good gelatin. That gel is a sensory certificate. It indicates you've pulled collagen and converted it into gelatin, which contributes to texture in foods and provides those amino acids you're after. Slice the cooled tendon into ribbons. It has an almost chewy, pleasantly bouncy texture, and use it in soups, stir-fries, or cold salads. You can sear slices briefly in a hot pan or pop them into an air fryer for a crispy snack. Save the cooking liquid, its concentrated broth. Freeze portions in jars or ice cube trays for easy use. Beef tendon's advantages over powdered collagen include its intact gelatin matrix and the presence of associated molecules like glucosamine. Powdered collagen often delivers hydrolyzed peptides, fragments that can be useful, but they're stripped of the natural tissue matrix and many of the minerals and cofactors that come with whole food extraction. With tendon, you get collagen plus flavor, texture, and that satisfying culinary element that makes you want to eat it regularly. Consistency matters more than single doses. If it tastes good and fits into meals, you'll use it more often. If this is changing how you think about collagen, tap like and subscribe. There's more practical kitchen nutrition like this. Next is one of the most polarizing items in the grocery world, chicken feet. Don't let the appearance scare you. Chicken feet are incredibly rich in type 2 collagen and cartilage compounds, such as chondroitin and glucosamine, which are the molecules people often seek in joint support supplements. They are also amazingly inexpensive at Asian markets and many local butchers, and they give you an excellent glossy broth when cooked properly. Start with sourcing. Look for fresh chicken feet labeled for cooking, or buy frozen if fresh isn't available. If you're in a market that serves dim sum or makes chicken soup regularly, you'll usually find them. The price per pound is often a fraction of boneless, skinless breasts, and because feet are mostly connective tissue, a little goes a long way in terms of gelatin yield. Cleaning is essential. Rinse the feet thoroughly in cold water. Some feet have a yellowish outer skin. You can peel this if you prefer a cleaner look, but it's not required. Clip the claws. Use kitchen shears to snip the tips of each toe. It's purely cosmetic and sanitary. To deodorize and firm them up, do a quick blanch. Place the feet in cold water, bring to a boil, and let them bubble gently for 5 to 7 minutes with a few slices of ginger or a splash of rice vinegar. This removes surface impurities and any strong odors. Drain and discard the blanching water. For cooking, you can pressure cook, simmer, or braise. Pressure cooker. Add the blanched feet to the pot with fresh water and aromatics. A halved onion, a couple of garlic cloves, and a bay leaf. Then cook on high pressure for about 25 to 30 minutes. Quick release is fine. Stovetop simmer. Cover with water and simmer gently for 1.5 to 2 hours. The goal is to extract gelatin but avoid breaking everything into complete mush, unless that's your intent for a thick, silky stock. The broth from chicken feet is glossy and rich. When chilled, it should form a soft gel. That gel means collagen has been converted into gelatin. When you heat it again, it melts into a silky mouthfeel that coats the tongue, adds body to sauces, and gives soups a luxurious texture. Use the broth as a base for congee, noodle soups, or as a cooking liquid for rice. You can also braise the feet in soy and aromatics until sticky and caramelized for a snack or appetizer. This is common in many cuisines. For a crunchy, shelf-stable option, some people dehydrate cooked feet and finish them in the oven to make a protein-rich snack. But be mindful that dehydration must reach safe temperatures and storage should be airtight. If you're new to chicken feet, start small. Add a jar of the broth to your next soup or replace half the water in a stew recipe with the stock. The gelatin helps thicken, adds unctuousness without adding cream, and brings those connective tissue nutrients into regular meals. Now the grand unifier, traditional bone broth. If tendon and chicken feet are specific tissue types, bone broth is the broad approach. It extracts collagen, marrow, minerals, and other soluble compounds from a mix of bones and connective tissue over a long, gentle simmer. Bone broth is the most versatile and easiest way to make these benefits part of daily cooking because you can always have jars in the fridge or freezer to ladle into dishes. Sourcing bones is straightforward. Use a mix. Marrow bones for depth, knuckle bones for cartilage and gelatin, and leftover carcasses or chicken feet to boost collagen. You can get bones cheaply from your butcher, buy packages labeled for broth, or save bones from meals. For the richest gelatin, include joints and knuckles. These parts have more connective tissue to break down. Start with a blanch and purge step to ensure clarity and a clean flavor. Place bones in a large pot, cover with cold water, bring to a boil, and let it bubble for about 10 minutes. You'll see foam and scum. Drain and discard that water and rinse the bones under running water. This removes blood and reduces potential off flavors. Return bones to the pot and cover with fresh cold water. Always start cold to encourage extraction. Add 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. The acid helps draw minerals from the bones into the liquid. Let the bones sit in cold water with the vinegar for 20 to 30 minutes before heating if you can. Bring the pot slowly to a gentle simmer. Don't boil aggressively. A low simmer is where you'll get a clear, flavorful broth. For chicken bones, simmer 12 to 24 hours. For beef or lamb, 24 to 48 hours yields the best extraction of gelatin and minerals. If you're using a pressure cooker, you can shorten these windows slightly. Pressure broths often extract faster, but the low, long simmer maximizes flavor and clarity. Skim foam in the first couple of hours so the final broth is clearer. Add aromatic vegetables in the last hour or two if you want flavor. Onion halves, carrot ends, celery tops. But avoid adding too many delicate herbs early on. Strain the broth through a fine mesh and cool quickly. Refrigerate until a fat cap forms on top. Remove that fat if you want a cleaner broth, or save it for cooking. A properly made bone broth will set into a firm, jiggly gel in the fridge. That gel is your signal that gelatin is present. If your broth doesn't gel, it may mean you didn't use enough jointed bones, or the simmer time was too short, or the bone-to-water ratio was too low. You can salvage weaker broth by adding more collagen-rich pieces like tendon or chicken feet and simmering longer. Use bone broth everywhere. As a sipping drink warmed with a twist of lemon or a pinch of salt, as a base for soups and stews, to cook rice and grains for extra flavor and nutrition, or to deglaze pans and make sauces. Freeze in portions. Ice cube trays for single-cup uses, muffin tins for 1-2-cup portions, or wide-mouth jars for larger amounts. Label and freeze for up to 6 months for best quality. In the refrigerator, consume within 4 to 5 days. Always reheat to a simmer before consuming to ensure food safety. Now let's compare these whole food approaches to collagen powders in practical kitchen-forward terms. Collagen powders, usually hydrolyzed collagen peptides, are convenient, neutral-flavored, and easy to add to drinks and smoothies. They can be useful, but there are important differences. Whole foods deliver collagen in a tissue matrix and are accompanied by related molecules, glycosaminoglycans like glucosamine and chondroitin, minerals leached from bone, marrow lipids, and the flavor compounds that make the broth enjoyable. That matrix can influence how the body handles and uses those amino acids, and it creates a culinary product you're likely to consume consistently because it improves meals. Powders provide isolated peptides. They may absorb rapidly, but they lack the culinary and nutritional cofactors that come with whole tissues. They don't thicken your stew, they don't give you a glossy sheen on sauces, and they don't provide marrow or the mineral complexity that brewed bones do. For many people, the ability to fold broth into everyday cooking grains in broth, adding it to sauces, sipping between meals, translates into a higher total intake over time compared with sporadic scoops of powder. Cost is another practical point. Tendon, chicken feet and bones are often among the cheapest animal parts per pound. If you value culinary yield, a pot of bone broth or a batch of tendons strained and set into jars multiplies in use. A few pounds of bones can become dozens of servings when used as cooking stock. Compare that to a jar of collagen powder where the price per serving can add up quickly. Buying the real thing, extracting the benefits, and using the broth in real meals is an economical strategy. A few important safety notes. Always blanch and discard the initial water for bones, tendon, and feet to remove impurities. Keep your simmer gentle and consistent. Cool jars quickly, an ice bath for a big pot helps, and refrigerate promptly to keep bacteria growth at bay. Use within 4 to 5 days or freeze. When reheating, bring to a simmer and avoid prolonged partial reheating. If you're pregnant, immune-compromised, or have specific medical conditions, check with your healthcare provider on consuming homemade broths and specific organ-rich foods. How to integrate these into a weekly routine so you actually see the benefit. Pick one method and commit for a monthly cycle. For example, make a large batch of bone broth on the weekend. Use a mix of marrow bones and knuckles. Simmer overnight, strain, chill and freeze in 1-cup portions. During the week, use a cube or two in your morning oatmeal or savory porridge. Cook grains in the broth, add it to stews, or sip a warm cup at night. Make tendon once every couple of weeks. Pressure cook a batch, slice it, and add to quick noodle soups or cold salads. Toss an ice cube-sized portion of gelatin-rich broth into smoothies or coffee if you want collagen benefits without a change in flavor profile. Practical hacks that make this easy. Freeze broth in silicone molds for single ladles. Store dehydrated tendon crisps in an airtight jar as a crunchy snack. Keep a jar of concentrated tendon broth in the fridge for the week and dilute as needed in recipes. Pair a bowl of broth with vitamin C-rich foods, roasted citrus or a side of bell peppers to support your body's own collagen production processes. Use bones from roasts you already make. Saving scraps is economical and sustainable. A brief recipe outline for each food to get you started. Beef tendon quick soup. After pressure cooking and chilling the tendon, slice thin. Bring 2 cups of tendon broth to a simmer, add sliced ginger, scallion, and a handful of spinach. Slide in tendon ribbons and finish with soy or tamari and a splash of rice vinegar. The tendon will warm through and be tender but springy, and the broth will coat your spoon. Chicken feet stock for congee. Blanch and pressure cook 5 to 8 chicken feet with a piece of ginger and a halved onion for 25 minutes. Strain the stock. Use the stock to cook short-grain rice into congee. Shred a little cooked chicken or add braised mushrooms. The congee will have a silky mouthfeel thanks to the gelatin. Bone broth simmer. Toss marrow bones, knuckle bones, an onion, carrots, celery scraps, and 1-2 tablespoons apple cider vinegar into a large stock pot. Cover with cold water, bring to barely simmer, then lower heat to maintain a gentle bubble for 24 to 36 hours. Strain, cool and chill. Serve warmed with a squeeze of lemon or use as the base for soups and risottos. Sensory cues to trust. Clear, glossy broth that gels when chilled. Sliced tendon with a slightly chewy, bouncy bite. A broth that leaves a thin coating on your lips. Those are indicators of successful extraction. If your broth is thin and never gels, either reduce the water-to-bone ratio next time, increase cooking time, or add more collagen-rich pieces like feet or tendons. A few troubleshooting notes. Strong, bitter flavors often come from overcooking aromatics or from bones exposed to too much air. Skimming early and starting with cold water help. If the broth tastes metallic, be sure to change the blanching water. If cloudiness bothers you, strain through cheesecloth or a very fine sieve. And remember, patience rewards you. Long, low simmer is the secret to deep flavor and good gelatin. Finally, a balanced perspective. Collagen powders are convenient and have their place. They're easy to add to a protein shake or post-workout beverage. But if your goal is to feed your skin, hair, nails, gut, and joints in a way that integrates with your meals, whole foods often deliver more for your cooking dollar: intact gelatin, associated cofactors, minerals, and a reason to make broth a habit. The best approach may be complementary. Use powders for convenience and whole food broths and tissues for culinary depth and consistent dietary intake. So here's a practical challenge. This week, pick one of the 3. Buy a pound of beef tendon and make a concentrated broth, or grab a bag of chicken feet and pressure cook a batch, or save bones from your next roast and start a bone broth that will last in the freezer for months. Try it in a simple dish: grain cooked in broth, a bowl of broth to sip, or a quick tendon soup. Notice the mouthfeel, the flavor, and whether this makes it easier to consume collagen-rich foods regularly. Which of these will you try first? Comment below and tell me whether you'll start with tendon, chicken feet, or a big pot of bone broth. Share this with a friend who always reaches for powders first. You might change their mind with a jar of jiggly broth. If you found this useful, subscribe for more kitchen-forward nutrition tips and come back. I'll show you recipes that make these ingredients shine without exotic steps or expensive gear.